Good evening from where I live. It's nighttime and I'm outside of my house, and I decided to do this video outside. So, what is the topic for tonight on this nice, cool, gentle, breezy Wednesday night in Liberty City, Texas? What is the topic for tonight? Well, I want to talk about this. This is going to be hard to talk about, so I want to give it a shot, and I hope I don't have any senior moments. I hope I don't have any Joe Biden moments. So I'm gonna let it rip. Okay, alright. Before I get into this video, I want to talk about a mass shooting that happened in Minneapolis at a Catholic school. A mass shooting that happened at a Catholic school in Minnesota. I'll say it again. A mass shooting that happened at a Catholic school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There, hope I said it right. So let me get right deep into this. Well, a gunman went and purchased a gun or two guns, and he went to this Catholic school and shot and killed two children and injuring other children and some adults, older adults in their 80s. The older adults and the children were praying at this Catholic school, and the gunman hated people who were Catholic. So this was deemed a hate crime, and here in the United States, another mass shooting has happened. I don't know what the number mass shooting that happened, so yeah, it's the same old thoughts and prayers, drama talk. It's the same old. That mass shooting, those poor children died in that mass. Two children died in that mass shooting, and other children were injured, and some elderly people in their 80s, along with the injured children, were injured, and two children were killed. Mass shootings just happen. They're just a way of life here in the U.S. Nothing's not going to be done about it. It's just going to just happen. And it's just crazy to see a child talk about mass shooting drills and hiding and hearing gunshots. And I look at this, and this is not a way to live, and children shouldn't live this way. They shouldn't. They should be at school, safe and sound, learning and playing on the playground and being kids. But they can't do those things because of a country like the United States that has loose, lax gun laws, and the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Yeah, these patriotic Americans who are gun nuts, they care more about their freedom than the freedom of regular, normal, everyday people. And mass shootings aren't just like started by people who are full of hate. It's also started by people who are torn down, ripped apart, insulted by toxic, loop-sided, mean-spirited Americans. You know, that's just my opinion. So there, let me get into what I want to talk about in this video. All right, welcome to Nightcap. That's right. I'm talking at night. Near my home, it's very quiet. You hear the crickets chirping. Not a lot is going on around here. So, you know, I'm in a nice, quiet, safe environment. I'm basically out in the woods. I'm out in the sticks. So there's some wild animals in this area where I live. Deer, possums, squirrels, rabbits, raccoons. Did I say deer? Yeah, deer, skunks, and some deadly poisonous snakes. So there. Okay. I heard, okay, here's what I want to talk about in this story, and it's about a man who died in France. This man was in his late 40s, and he was on social media. I think he was on the site Kick from Australia, and he was doing a lot of crazy stunts. I don't know, I guess jumping off of buildings. And he was attacked and assaulted on Kick. He was attacked and assaulted on Kick, the Australian social media site. And after he was insulted. You know, people were just saying a lot of negative things about him, putting him down, ripping him apart on that social media site Kick. And believe it or not, he died after all of this. He didn't die from a broken heart. He died from a heart condition. And plus he had a disability. Yeah, he was a man from France. I don't remember his name. His name is in French. So yeah. Okay, I see something walking across the street. It's a wild animal. So, yeah, I'm wearing a wool cap with a hat on it. I'm gonna wear the wool cap with a light on it. Yeah, I think I said it wrong. What I'm trying to say is I'm wearing a wool cap, an orange wool cap with a light on it, and I'm using it to see out here. I'm walking along a street near where I live. So, yeah. And yeah, this guy he didn't commit suicide. He died of a heart condition. He had heart problems, and he was in his late 40s. And he was a big, I guess he was on social media doing stunts and impressing people. And I heard that he was alone. He was suffering from loneliness. He had no one to talk to. He was all by himself. He wasn't married. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have any kids. He was single and alone. And those people on Kick just hurled insults at him and ripped him apart and put him down. And I guess they just said a lot of nasty, horrible things to him. Just said things that just hurt his feelings and made him miserable and sad. And after that, he died of that heart condition that he had. Yeah, and this is, yeah, and I think since that Kick social media site is in Australia, France can't put any like strict regulations on it. Yeah, France can't do anything about it. Yeah, the French government in France can't do anything about it. You know, and I just want to talk about this. You know, people with disabilities are more likely to commit suicide than people who aren't disabled, non-disabled people. Yeah, people with disabilities are at high risk of committing suicide, by taking their own lives because, of loneliness, a toxic environment that doesn't care anything about them. I'm just talking about the people with disabilities here in the U.S. People with disabilities who live in other countries. They go through even worse toxicity and abuse than here in the U.S. And like, for instance, a person with a disability in the UK, I mean, they'll get bullied and put down even worse. It is nasty compared to here. And people with disabilities like get picked at and taken advantage of in Australia. There's this guy from Australia by the name of what's his name? Knowledge Variable. He was dropping weird comments on one of the videos on this YouTube channel. And he was just messing with me because he think I'm stupid and I don't know any better. I think the fact that he's been watching my videos and I've been saying some things in these videos that make absolutely no sense. So, I haven't been bothered by this guy, so, I'm not worried about him. He's in the past. I'm not going to think about him anymore, so I'm just going to just move on. Yeah, people with disabilities, they just go through a lot of abuse, and it just, the life they're living and what they go through in life because of their disability, they end up like taking their lives and killing themselves by committing suicide. And also, and you got people with people with a temper, people with a temper. People lose their temper, and they're full of anger and rage, like something that just bothers them, like someone with a temper, like any little thing that can set them off. And someone said the exact same thing that I'm saying, but they go farther and said this. Well, people with a temper, like, they're trying to control people. And, and that's wrong. Someone who has a temper, people who have a temper aren't trying to control people. That's just wrong. Not everybody who has a temper is trying to control somebody. It's just some people who have a temper who tries to control someone, but not every person who has a temper is trying to control somebody. That's not, that's the truth right there. And it's like this. Okay, someone with a temper who wants to control somebody, and it's like this. Okay, they'll go and try to tell that person, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, do this the right way, and that person won't do they won't do it the way that person with that temper wanted them to do. So that person with that temper gets angry and starts raising and yelling at them and starts bullying them around. That's someone who's trying to control somebody. And yeah, you got people with who have learning issues or learning disability. I say everybody with a learning disability does this, but there's some people who have it will do that. They'll try to they'll bully people around because of their learning indifferences. That means they can't learn anything, and they just since they feel that they can't learn anything, so they just go around and just do God knows what and bully people around. And it's just kind of sad, if they don't have the right adjustments and the right adjustments for learning. They help them learn better, help them learn in a different way. Then they wouldn't be going around bullying people around. And I don't know, I can bring this up, with someone who has a temper, or someone who has a disability, who is contemplating of committing suicide, like taking their lives because there's no purpose for them to live due to their disability. I mean, they can't function well in society. They're viewed as an outcast. They're treated like a child. They're excluded from important things in society within the group. That leads to them being socially isolated. These people don't have to go down the route of, a person with a temper who loses it and a person with a disability who wants to end their lives because of the society that they live in. And these people don't have to go down that dark route. Okay, is moving abroad, moving to a country that's saner and civilized will make them feel better, will make them feel good about themselves. Yeah, but a person who has a temper, will their temper go away if they move to a saner, civilized country that's good for their mental health, make them feel good about themselves, and there's no need for them to snap and lose it because they're in a society where they feel good about themselves and they have confidence, and people show them love that will give them the ability to love themselves. And I hear this talk about here in the U.S., oh, you gotta love yourself. Like someone just wants you just to love yourself, like basically kissing yourself and hugging yourself, which is ridiculous, and it really doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna say this. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna say this way. It's ridiculous and it's weird. Just like love yourself, hug yourself, kiss yourself. How can someone tells you if you can't love yourself, then you can't love others? Well, the only way you're gonna love yourself is another human being has to come up to you and show you love and give you love in order for you to love yourself. You can't love yourself all by yourself. That's weird. That doesn't work. And that's just bullshit talk from right here in the United States. That's what that is. And and that guy that committed suicide in France, I don't know how life is in France. Yeah, France is a beautiful country, and it is. And I kind of like took in the lie of French people being rude. No, it's just the people in Paris. It's just the people in Paris who are like that. But the people in Paris aren't rude. They're just they're just they believe in being polite and respectable. Yeah, you just say things to them like bonjour, bonsoir, and just speak a little French to them. And and you'd be amazed at how the people are in France. Not France, but Paris. And it doesn't matter what part of France that you go to, any part of France. I mean, we go into a shop or a place or whatnot, you gotta say bonjour, bonsoir. You say bonjour during the day, and you say bonsoir during the evening time. So like for instance, it's nighttime. If someone comes up to me, I'll just say bonsoir. Well, since I live here in Liberty City, Texas, nobody speaks French here. Everybody speaks English. And you got some Spanish speakers around here as well. Well, anyway, I don't know how France is. I heard France is a very family-friendly country. That respects families and people. Yeah. And yeah, and it's, I've been to France, by the way, but I've never lived there. So are the French people are as toxic and inept as people here in America are? No. So I heard from Winston Wu that like in Western Europe, it's becoming more and more like here. So I'm just going to go by Winston Wu logic. Okay, yeah. So that disabled Frenchman in France who died of a heart condition after he was abused by insults, have insults hurled at him through social media on the Australian social media site Kick. This guy didn't deserve this. It's kind of sad that he died of that heart condition. He was in his late 40s. He's older. He probably never met a woman in his life. He'd been alone. And it's sad that you got people with disabilities, like disabled men who never met a woman, who never got in a relationship with a woman. They've been alone all their lives because of their disability. And it's just sad, But there's a saying, you can't save everybody, but I believe, deep down inside, I believe a lot of these people need to be saved. And I got some people who subscribe to this channel and they're disabled. I just want to just say this to them. I just want to say this to them. You don't have to like commit suicide and kill yourself because of the society that you live in. Yeah, don't feel sorry for yourself, Improve your life. Like get into things. Get into a hobby, learn something, get some speech therapy or anything, get any type of therapy, regardless of what kind of disability that you have. And don't listen to people and tell you that you're not going to amount to anything, and you can't move to this country, you can't move to that country because you have a disability, you have a 12th grade education, and you might as well just stay here until the day you die. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that negativity. You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. Just because you have a disability, you're not broken, you're not stupid, you're not worthless. You're not. Okay? All right. I think that's all I got to say in this video. It's very, very quiet, I think I saw some small animal cross the street. I think it was an armadillo or a cat or a rabbit. I might run into a raccoon if I stay out here all night. I might see some raccoons. Yeah. It's kind of sad, since the United States is a very socially disconnected, segregated, isolating, paranoid, and fake nation of people. You got people who want to be left alone, and you got people who want to be left alone, people who don't want to be bothered. If you want to talk to them, it doesn't matter if you're alone. They don't want to talk to you. They'll say, "Get away from me. Get away from me. I don't want to be bothered." Okay? If you don't get away from me, I'm going to call the police and have you arrested. And if you go near me, I'm going to have a restraining order put on you. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. They will do that. Put a restraining order on you if you keep coming up to them and want to talk to them, and they don't want to have anything to do with you. Yeah. That's America for you. But you know something, those aren't the only people I can talk to. I can talk to other people. There's a lot of people I can talk to, and there's a lot of people you guys can talk to. Those people who don't want to be bothered, who want to be left alone, they want to be alone, and they want no one to bother them. They're not the only people that you can talk to. You can talk to other people. Some people here in the U.S. who are sociable, and also you can talk to people from foreign countries and foreign countries. You could do that. Yeah, Latin America. You can talk to people in Latin American countries, in South America. Yeah, countries in South America, Latin American countries in Africa, some countries in Europe, countries in Southeast Asia. Yeah. You can talk to people in those parts of the world who are sociable, but it's like here, there's some people you can talk to, there's some people you cannot talk to. Yeah, there's some people who don't want to have anything to do with you. There's some people who do want to have something to do with you. That's just how it is. So, so I don't want to run my mouth very long. I don't want to keep running my mouth, so I'm going to end the video here at night. So, before I kill this video, If you like this video, give it a like. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'm gonna say this: if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down. And if you're new to this channel, you like this channel, punch that subscribe button. Punch it hard and become a sub. Alright, this is Richard of the New Manchester YouTube channel by... I'm sorry. This is Richard of the New Manchester YouTube channel saying this. Cheers and au revoir. Good night from the dark, heavily wooded area of the Oakwood neighborhood of Liberty City, Texas. So there. Goodbye, au revoir, cheers, good night.